This new technology offers real new use cases. The truth is, if your system can only do 7 transactions a second, there are great things you can do. There are great use cases. When Bitcoin came out, it could do 7 a second over the whole planet, and people use Bitcoin. It's really exciting. But you know what? If you can do 1,000 a second, now you can start doing some really nice smart contracts and some very interesting applications that you couldn't do at 7 a second. But you know what? If you can do 10,000 a second, now you can start doing credit card transactions. The whole credit card system could be done in this, which is even more things. But you know what? If you can do hundreds of thousands of seconds, now you can do entire stock markets. You can do entire MMO games. You can do gigantic ledgers where people all over the planet are reading and writing from this thing at the same time when you can do hundreds of thousands a second. Hashgraph can do hundreds of thousands a second in a single shard, in a single replicated system where everyone has the same information and where everyone sees every transaction. If you want to go even faster, though, you get even more applications. You might want to go to millions or billions or trillions of transactions a second. But now we have to talk about sharding, because a single computer is probably not going to be able to handle trillions of transactions a second. You're going to have lots of computers sharing the workload. When you build your ledger to handle these really high throughput applications, then you're going to have to be able to run fast. For some applications, every transaction goes to a different shard and they're super fast. For some of them, lots of them end up going to the same shard and you end up running at the speed of a single shard. And so if you really want a planet-spanning system able to handle the super large applications, a gigantic ledger that everyone is reading and writing, a financial system that dwarfs the number of transactions per second of the current planetary financial system, MMOs, games that are truly enormously fast, then you've got to have shards of hundreds of thousands a second. And that simply doesn't exist outside of Hashgraph, which is what we have, which right now allows a single shard to basically run at whatever the bandwidth limit of a single computer is. However fast you can send in those transactions, basically you can send in the transactions at that speed and get consensus. Because consensus is basically free. You just have to get the transactions and you have almost no overhead to get the consensus. So this enables whole new applications because we are fast. And in many of the people we talk to, the customers just get really excited about that, about the speed. That's what excites them the most. But you know what? There are other things that are even more important for certain applications. Let's talk about denial of service attack resilience. It would be bad for some applications if an attacker that has a bunch of compromised computers on the internet, a botnet, if they were able to flood packets into one computer and shut it down, and by doing so shut down your whole network, that would be a disaster for some applications. A company that is using a network or this network to reach their customers, if they shut down for a few hours, it is a big deal. And last fall, when we had the Dyna attack, there was a denial of service attack that shut down companies. Netflix went offline for hours in North America. Does Netflix care if they go offline for several hours? I don't know, but I'm going to guess yes. This is important. And there are many systems being used now that are vulnerable to denial of service attacks. So we open up whole new use cases where you can actually rely on your system. We can build financial systems where you can rely on them not to be vulnerable to denial of service attacks, even if you have problems like malicious nodes and malicious firewalls chopping off pieces of your network and denial of service attacks, distributed denial of service attacks coming in and shutting people down. So that opens up whole new use cases where the reliability, where the security matters. And again, often security doesn't matter. And so you're perfectly good using the current systems to do systems where you don't care about security. But if you have applications that need security, then you have to have a secure system. And so by applying the security, by providing the security, Hashgraph then allows you to be able to do the truly secure things. And it opens up whole new realms of applications. But it isn't just speed and security. There is a third thing that the Hashgraph provides that opens up new use cases. And this is fairness. So fairness is, the whole point of a ledger is we're all going to put our transactions in order and come to consensus on what order the transactions are in. In some systems, it's possible for one individual to effect and control what order they end up in. And for something like a cryptocurrency, that doesn't matter. If I double spend a coin and I send it to Alice's store and I also send it to Bob's store, we as a community have to agree which store received the payment first because the other store doesn't get to keep the coin. Okay, but it doesn't really matter which store we pick. So in that case, fairness doesn't matter. All that matters is that we agree on the order. It is fine to let a miner pick what order they want to put in their block, which is how the proof of work systems work. And it is fine to let a leader arbitrarily choose what order the transactions are in. That's how leader-based systems work. These are fine. It doesn't matter. But if you want a stock market where we're all putting in bids and asks, and you ask the question, your bid came in a little bit before mine, but would it be bad if I could bribe somebody to get mine first? That would be bad. No stockbroker is going to use a stock market where anybody can slip a few dollars to a miner or to a leader and end up having their things prioritized unfairly. That would be a disaster. Fairness allows us to do whole new kinds of things. The hash graph is fair. In fact, we have a fairness theorem. We can prove that it is fair. And the existing systems with proof of work and with leader-based systems just aren't fair. For some applications, it doesn't matter. But we open up whole new applications in stock markets and auctions and games. Does it matter when you and I are both trying to pick something up in an MMO, who picked it up first? Well, of course. Whoever picked it up first gets to keep it. Whoever tried to pick it up second doesn't get to keep it because they didn't get it. It was gone by that point. We care about fairness. If I could bribe the person running the game to always make mine be ahead, you're going to drop out and stop playing the game. It's terrible. So whole new vistas of things you can do open up when you have fairness. Hashgraph gives us better speed, better security, and better fairness. Each of those opens up new use cases. And the combination of the three is a killer. You can just open up all kinds of use cases.